Level 1, Hobbits, least power. When we talk about power in Middle-earth, most people think of sorcery, armies, or divine fire. But true strength in Tolkien's world comes in many forms: moral, spiritual, and even emotional. At the very bottom of the scale are the Hobbits, the smallest, humblest race, seemingly insignificant compared to elves, wizards, or dark lords. Yet their quiet endurance proves that not all power comes from might. Hobbits occupy the lowest level of power in Middle-earth, yet their importance cannot be overstated. They are physically small, lacking in martial strength, and possess no innate magical ability. Their influence in history arises not from dominance or skill, but from moral fortitude and an uncommon resistance to corruption. Hobbits are a branch of the race of men, sharing mortality and free will, but living quietly in isolation within the Shire. Their strength lies in simplicity, a natural humility that shields them from the ambition and greed that ensnare greater beings. This is most clearly seen in their resistance to the One Ring. Bilbo, Frodo, and Sam each bore the ring with immense strain, yet none were fully corrupted as a stronger spirit might have been. Spiritually, Hobbits possess remarkable endurance. Their courage surfaces only when necessity demands it, the quiet bravery of those who act despite fear. In Tolkien's hierarchy, they are proof that true strength need not come from power. Even among the weakest, the will to do what is right can alter the fate of the world. Level 2, Men, low power. If hobbits represent the quiet strength of the ordinary, men represent the restless fire of mortality. Their power isn't measured in magic or immortality, but in will, the drive to change, to conquer, and to create legacies that outlive their short lives. This level marks the first true leap toward influence in Tolkien's world, the rise of those who can build kingdoms, fall to corruption, and still shape the fate of ages. Men stand at the second level of power in Middle-earth, defined by their mortality and freedom. Unlike elves, their souls are not bound to Arda. This gift of Ilúvatar grants them the ability to leave the world entirely after death, a mystery even to the Valar. It is both their greatest weakness and their hidden strength. Among men, power varies greatly. Common folk lead simple lives, but noble lineages like the Númenóreans and Dúnedain possess strength, wisdom, and lifespan far beyond ordinary mortals. Kings such as Elendil and Aragorn embody the highest potential of their kind, combining courage, loyalty, and destiny to unite fractured realms. Yet the same ambition that fuels greatness also leads to ruin. The fall of Númenor and the corruption of the Nine Kings, who became the Nazgûl, reveal how easily mortal desire can be twisted by darkness. In Tolkien's design, men symbolize impermanence and change, but it is their fleeting nature that drives them to act boldly. While they may never rival the immortal races in sheer power, it is their will to strive that ensures Middle-earth's story ends with them. Level 3. Elves, moderate power. While men represent the fleeting flame of mortality, the elves are the eternal light of creation, brilliant, unyielding, and bound forever to the fate of the world. Power begins to transcend the physical. The elves are not merely strong or skilled, their might lies in spirit, a harmony with the divine order that shaped Arda itself, yet their immortality, while a gift, is also a burden. They endure as the world changes and fades, their glory slowly dimming with each passing age. The elves, the firstborn of Ilúvatar, are beings of immense spiritual and physical strength. Their immortality binds them to Arda until its end, granting them a permanence no other race possesses. Unlike men, they do not age, fall ill, or die naturally. Only violence or deep sorrow can end their lives. This timelessness gives them both wisdom and weariness, for they must witness all decay while being unable to escape it. Their power is expressed through mastery, the ability to shape beauty and order into the world around them. The elves' craftsmanship in realms like Gondolin, Rivendell, and Lothlorien displays their near-divine skill. Their music, art, and language echo the very music of the Ainur from which creation sprang. Their reflexes, senses, and endurance surpass all mortals, making them fearsome warriors and brilliant strategists. Yet for all their might, the elves' strength fades as the world ages. The more they cling to Middle-earth, the more they diminish. Their time is tied to the world's life, and as its light wanes, so too does theirs. In Tolkien's hierarchy, the elves are the bridge between the mortal and the divine, powerful beyond men, yet still part of the world they cannot leave. Level 4. Wizards, Istari, high power. At this level, the hierarchy shifts from mortal to divine. The wizards, or Istari, are not born of Middle-earth, but sent to it. They embody a higher order of strength, spiritual authority cloaked in human form. Their mission is not conquest, but guidance, to shepherd the free peoples against Sauron's growing shadow. Yet their power comes with restraint. The valor forbade them from dominating through force, making their influence one of wisdom, persuasion, and moral endurance rather than raw might. The Astari are Maiar, divine spirits of the same order as Sauron and the Balrogs, sent by the Valar in the Third Age to oppose darkness through counsel and inspiration. There were 5 known wizards: Saruman the White, Gandalf the Grey, Radagast the Brown, and the 2 blue wizards, who journeyed eastward and vanished from history. Each possessed enormous latent power, but their forms were deliberately limited to prevent them from overwhelming the mortal world they were sent to protect. Their strength came from knowledge, subtle magic, and spiritual influence. Gandalf's words could ignite courage or shatter despair, while Saruman's voice could command armies through manipulation alone. When Gandalf returned as Gandalf the White, his power rose to its truest form: authority over his order, and the divine permission to act more directly against Sauron. Still, the wizard's greatest battles were internal. Saruman fell to pride and envy, seeking the very control he was meant to resist. Gandalf's humility, by contrast, became his greatest strength. Through him, Tolkien illustrated that even divine beings must choose how to wield their gifts, for wisdom or for domination. Level 5. Balrogs, very high power. With the Balrogs, we enter the realm of terror, beings whose very presence warps courage into fear. These are not mortals or messengers, but corrupted spirits of divine fire, once noble, now monstrous. The Balrogs embody raw, unrestrained might, the kind that doesn't guide or inspire, but burns, consumes, and annihilates. Their existence reminds us that every divine gift can be twisted into ruin. Balrogs were originally Maiar, spirits of fire and power, who served under Morgoth during the Great Rebellion of the Ainur. In their uncorrupted form, they were majestic beings of creation, akin to the elements themselves. But under Morgoth's will, they were reshaped into demons of flame and shadow, living embodiments of rage and domination. Their power is primal, fire that consumes both the physical and the spiritual. In the First Age, they were among Morgoth's greatest weapons. Under the command of Gothmog, Lord of Balrogs, they slaughtered countless elves and laid waste to entire kingdoms. Few could face them and live. Even among the greatest of the Firstborn, only warriors like Glorfindel or Ecthelion could defeat one, and only at the cost of their own lives. By the Third Age, nearly all Balrogs had been destroyed or driven deep underground. Yet one, Durin's Bane, lingered beneath the misty mountains, a shadow from a forgotten war. When Gandalf faced it upon the bridge of Khazad-dûm, it was not a battle of man and monster, but Maya against Maya, ancient power meeting its equal. The earth shook, the mountains split, and both fell into darkness. The Balrogs symbolize what happens when divine strength loses its purpose. They are power without restraint, spirit without mercy, the ruin left behind when creation turns to destruction. Level 6, Sauron, supreme power. Now we reach the level where power becomes dominion. Sauron represents the pinnacle of authority within the physical world of Arda, a being who understands not just strength, but control. At this stage, power shifts from destruction to orchestration. Sauron does not simply burn or conquer. He bends wills, forges systems, and reshapes entire civilizations to reflect his order. He is the master craftsman turned tyrant, the embodiment of power corrupted by the desire to rule all. Sauron began as a Maya of Aule, the Vala of craft and creation. His early mastery of structure, design, and order made him brilliant, but it also made him vulnerable to Morgoth's promise of absolute control. Under Morgoth's shadow, Sauron's purpose twisted from shaping beauty to enforcing domination. When his master was defeated, Sauron inherited his mantle, becoming the new Dark Lord of Middle-earth. His power was unmatched among the living. Sauron's strength was rooted in will and intellect, the ability to command minds and subvert nations. The creation of the One Ring marked the height of this mastery. By pouring a vast portion of his spirit into the ring, he created an extension of himself, a tool capable of controlling the other rings of power and enslaving their bearers. Through it, he could reach across Middle-earth, twisting allies into servants and free peoples into pawns. Even without the ring, Sauron's influence endured. He could not be easily destroyed, for his spirit was tied to the very fabric of the world. His fortress of Barad-dûr, his armies of Mordor, and his manipulation of men and elves reveal a being whose greatest weapon was not his hand, but his will. He was supreme within Arda, a god among mortals, but still bound by its limits. Level 7, Morgoth, godlike power. At the final level, we leave the bounds of Middle-earth entirely and enter the realm of the divine. Morgoth, once called Melkor, stands not as a king or sorcerer, but as a godlike being whose rebellion shaped the very structure of existence. Every evil that followed, every war, monster, and act of corruption, began with him. His power was not limited to strength or magic, but to creation itself. At this height, power ceases to mean control over others. It means the ability to alter reality itself. Morgoth was the first and mightiest of the Valar, divine beings who entered Arda at the beginning of time to bring the world into form under the design of Eru Ilúvatar, the One. Unlike his peers, Morgoth desired dominion, not harmony. In the great music of the Ainur, he wove themes of dissonance, seeking to shape creation to his own will. His defiance introduced evil into the world, not as an opposing force, but as a corruption of good itself. At his height, Morgoth's power was immeasurable. He could manipulate matter, shape mountains, and command the fires of creation. He forged vast fortresses like Angband and Utumno, and filled them with legions of corrupted spirits, Balrogs, dragons, and countless dark creatures. Yet his greatest flaw was his desire to possess all things. In his obsession, he poured his essence into the world, diffusing his strength into every rock, storm, and shadow. This act made Arda itself a reflection of his corruption, what the Elves called the marring of the world. By the end of the First Age, Morgoth's form had grown immense and terrible, but hollow. The Valar and their hosts rose against him in the War of Wrath, casting him into the timeless void beyond creation. Though banished, his influence never ended. The lingering evil of Middle-earth, from Sauron's rise to the weakness in men, all trace their origin back to him. Morgoth is not just the most powerful being in Tolkien's world. He is the wound upon which that world is built. If you've made it this far through the hierarchy of Middle-earth's mightiest beings, the natural next step is to explore how these powers shaped history itself. Watch next. Every war in Middle-earth explained in detail. It reveals how each level of power, from Hobbits to the Valar, clashed across the ages, leaving behind the scars and legends that define Tolkien's world.